That human shouldn't even be alive, scoffed Gorak, squinting at the screen in disbelief. Around him, the carved delegation muttered in uneasy agreement. Every Deathworlder species had gathered on Z Prime, a neutral meeting ground for the few life forms tough enough to survive planets that actively sought to kill them. Brutal terrains, vicious predators, toxic atmospheres. These were familiar challenges to carve. They thought they understood resilience. They thought they'd seen the pinnacle of endurance. And then they encountered the humans. On the main screen of the conference room, a grainy video feed played. A human, lean, scarred, and alarmingly casual, was strolling across a scorching desert under twin suns. The sensor readings flashed along the side of the screen, searing temperatures, wind speeds lethal to most species. And yet there he was, just walking. "I don't get it," growled Iroh, a scaled carved warrior with a scar running from his forehead down to his jawline. He was known for his steely resolve, but right now, he looked genuinely puzzled. "They aren't armored, don't have any venom, and lack claws. What do they have? Bones?" The others nodded. Carve, proud descendants of survivalist evolution, had never encountered anything like the humans. Carve were tough, yes, built to withstand toxic environments and survive injuries that would easily incapacitate other species. They were muscular, dense, and armored in natural plating. In short, they were the galaxy's undisputed masters of harsh living. Or so they thought. One of the delegates, a scientist named Drix, piped up, clearly disturbed. "The data suggests they don't only survive on their homeworld. They thrive. Their planet, Earth, is like nothing we've ever studied." Gorak grunted, eyes never leaving the screen. "Elaborate." "Earth," Drix said, visibly trying to suppress his disbelief, "has a highly unstable environment, extreme cold and heat, unpredictable weather, active volcanic zones, vast chaotic seas. Nothing about it is hospitable, yet humans have adapted to almost every corner of it. They even go so far as to challenge it intentionally, climbing its highest mountains, swimming in its deepest waters, or venturing to its poles for entertainment." The room went silent. Entertainment. That concept was not lost on the Carve, who relished proving their own strength. But to seek out danger on purpose? Ridiculous, Iroh muttered. "They're either insane or lying." "I thought so too," Drix admitted. "But there's more." He hesitated, as if reluctant to share the next piece of information. "Earth isn't a true death world by the strictest definition. Not like Carve. The predators there are dangerous, yes, but it's not an apex world. There are no toxins in the air, no catastrophic magnetic storms. Then why call it a death world?" Someone sneered. Drix took a deep breath, tapping on his tablet. "Because humans themselves are the threat. They're aggressive in ways we don't fully understand. They don't just survive, they dominate. They form packs, create weapons, and adapt faster than any species on record. They've encountered creatures that would kill most other Deathworlders, and they've figured out ways to subdue or even befriend them." A hologram popped up, projecting images of various Earth animals. Massive felines, creatures with crushing jaws, and towering mammoths. At the center of each image was a human, grinning and undaunted, standing next to these beasts as if they were allies. Gorak watched, his skepticism fading, replaced by reluctant intrigue. "You're saying they train these things?" "They don't just train them," Drix replied, voice lowering. "They make them companions. They bond with them. And it's not just beasts. Their technology, while primitive compared to ours, is modified for any environment. And it's their tenacity. They don't stop, even when outmatched, even when injured. Humans just keep going. It's like survival itself is hardwired into their instincts." The Carve exchanged glances, each warrior grappling with the realization that perhaps they had underestimated these strange beings. For as long as any of them could remember, the Carve had considered themselves the standard by which survival was measured. They were not accustomed to feeling threatened, especially not by a species without natural defenses. Then the door to the chamber slid open, and the human ambassador walked in. He was nothing remarkable at first glance, about the height of a Carve juvenile, unarmored, with a sturdy frame that seemed laughably fragile next to the massive, armored Carve figures in the room. But there was something unsettling in his gaze. His eyes scanned the room with a calm intensity, an unspoken confidence that unnerved the Carve more than any weapon could. "Gentlemen," he greeted, his voice steady. He had no translator. He spoke the carved language fluently, a feat that took even seasoned diplomats years to master. I appreciate the warm welcome. The sarcasm in his tone was unmistakable, and a few of the carved bristled. Gorak, ever the leader, stood to his full height and stepped forward. "You're the human representative?" His tone was skeptical, his imposing figure towering over the ambassador. "That's right," the human replied, unfazed. "You can call me Captain Mark Jennings." He extended a hand, an alien gesture that Carr found bizarre, but which their research indicated was a sign of respect. Gorak ignored the hand, crossing his arms instead. "You've been the subject of much debate," Gorak said, his tone heavy with disdain. "Your kind doesn't seem to understand its place in the galaxy. You act as if you're equals to the Deathworlders." Mark raised an eyebrow, smirking slightly. "That's funny. From where I'm standing, it seems we're doing just fine. Maybe better." The tension in the room thickened. Iroh stepped forward, claws clicking on the floor. "And what makes you think that, little human?" he growled, baring sharp teeth. "We've seen the data. Without your weapons, you're nothing but soft flesh and brittle bones." "True," Mark admitted with a shrug, his casual demeanor contrasting sharply with the hostility in the room. "But our weapons are part of what makes us human. Tools, teamwork, adaptability. That's our thing. We don't have claws or venom or scales, but we have brains. And we use them. You've seen what we do to Deathworlds, haven't you? We don't just survive, we thrive. You call us soft, but we're still here. And that's what scares you." For a moment, the carved delegation was silent, unsure how to respond. It was Gorak who finally broke the silence, his voice low and measured. "You talk a lot for a creature so easily killed." Mark's grin widened, but there was no humor in his eyes. "Maybe, but the thing about humans, Gorak, we don't die easy. And when we do, we don't go alone." It was not a threat. It was a fact. And for the first time in a long, long while, the carved delegation felt the chill of uncertainty.